it's like, oh shit, he didn't know what to make of it. So it wasn't. There's no way that was scripted. That was legit. I think he sort of took one knock a little bit too many to the head and knocked him. I wouldn't say it's giving him a concussion, but it knocked him silly for a bit.
Right.
But you saw the referee reach around the back of his pants, which is like where his mic button is for his microphone. So he was actually speaking to them in the back, and they only normally do that when it's serious.
Yeah.
And his head snapped on the top turnbuckle. You could see it. How he really took a bad fall there, and I think with that they kind of said, "Let's go for a different ending."
Yeah, and of course, guys, we are in the moment. We're talking about what we just watched, which is the Night of Champions, and this is our pay-per-view review, guys. You know, there was a lot of things in this pay-per-view. As Andy said, he was dead on. I really thought that Seth Rollins was either going to win both or he lost both. He lost the U.S. title back to John Cena, but he managed to retain the WWE title. Now, of course, Sheamus comes out, tries to attack Sting. Tries to attack Rollins, but he gets interrupted by Kane. Now, that was kind of expected, but what I didn't expect was him to attack Sheamus and then go back to Rollins, where he hits him with a tombstone, and it ends there. It really made no sense to me. I'm guessing the idea is that they wanted to try to keep the title on him for a little bit longer.
And fans, just real quick, we were seeing the big red machine Kane, not corporate Kane.
Exactly, yes, the monster Kane.
Wait, one more thing, fellas. We didn't see concessions Kane. That would have been funny.
Well, what do you guys think about Kane? I mean, because we all know it's going to be his last run in the WWE. He's been threatening retirement for the last year and a half, so he's going to come back and take the title himself and keep it for a while, and then when he loses, he'll be gone.
I don't see that happening.
Yeah, no.
Who knows?
Because I think they're going to give it Kane before he goes, as like a thank you for everything that you've done. And now he's pissed off Sheamus, and the first person Seth Rollins is going to want to feud with is Kane.
Yeah.
So just I don't really see why they wouldn't put the title on the line for it.
And yeah, it's a valid point, but it's obviously, as much as what Kane was supposed to help him, it really just kind of backfired.
Like Bass said when he come on, I mean, the old pay-per-view really sucked.
Yes, I would agree with that.
I wouldn't say it sucked completely. There was just a few things that I personally didn't care about, and one of the other matches that really kind of did get under my skin was the six-man tag where the third man was Chris Jericho. Does that make any sense to me? Anybody?
Rick, you know what?
If you play back the HWR recording from last week, I called it. I said it was going to be an old-time guy, somebody like Chris Jericho.
And that's the thing, though.
When you think about it logically, you could have had.
You know what?
Yeah.
Here's another thing for you, Rick. Notice how this pay-per-view was sprinkled with nostalgia. You got the Dudleys taking on the New Day. You had Chris Jericho in that six-man tag match. And then you had Sting in the main event. You know, all over.
Ric Flair showing his face for his daughter.
Yeah, Ric Flair. You know, this goes to show me that they have to bring back a little bit of the nostalgia, because the current roster cannot cut it. They have the great skills and athleticism. They are the best spot monkeys out there, but they can't carry it like the older guys can.
See, let me disagree with you, because you know what? First off, as you know, Joe, just like you, I am old school wrestling. I've been watching wrestling for over 35 years, and the problem is that they're not going to get the spotlight because the old guys are taking the spotlight. What's going to happen in another 4 or 5 years when these guys can't even go anymore, or when they start passing off?
I agree with it. I agree with what you're saying, but think about it from like a wrestler's point of view, and nobody said this better than Roddy Piper. No one's going to give you the spot. You should come and take it, and no one's there taking the spot off the old people. You should take the spot off them.
Absolutely. And
I
look,
100% agree.
if these new guys were so, if it's their time, that's great. But notice that they can't cut it. They can't do the promos. They can't captivate the audience. You know, they can captivate them in the ring with spot monkey move. That's awesome. But if you're an old school wrestling fan, that mostly any professional wrestling match is the talking, it's the gimmick, it's the charisma. You know, then you have what 10% of the match that actually happens. These guys go 100% into a match, 50 moves, 50 finishers, and then when it's over, you're like, okay, well, great moves. What do you got for me now? I think that's the problem. I think that's why wrestling is on a downhill because there's no captivating people. There's no, like I said before, and I hate to bring it up again, there is no Hulk Hogan's. There is no Ric Flair's. There's no Roddy Piper's or Macho Men. There are no Road Warriors. There's no guys that just being in the ring should be like, holy crap, wow. You know, everybody's cookie cutter. And they're, no matter how many times, look, Ziggler came out in a different outfit for once. You know, he's the Heartbreak Ziggler.
Do you know one thing that I've not been able to understand? I've been watching on the network. I've been watching some of the old school Raw stuff. Because I'm one of the people, I'll put my hand up and admit when I'm wrong, and I was wrong. I've said I'm sick of the 3-hour Raw because it's more talking than wrestling. And it has been, in my thought. I've gone back and looked at the old school stuff. There was 3 matches. Raw was 3 matches. The rest of it was filled up by talking in the locker room, Roddy Piper segments, Ultimate Warrior with his 25-minute rant. He can rant worse than me. There was 3 matches per Raw. 4 tops. We're getting about 8 or 9. I know it's a 3-hour show. At least we're getting about 8 or 9. So we're getting more action now than we have done 20 years ago. And it still sucks because there's no characters. And as we said while we were watching the pay-per-view, the first time you see Dolph Ziggler, you instantly think Mr. Ass, Brian Pillman. They're the first people's name, Mr. Perfect. When you watch people like The Rock and Austin, who do you compare them with? Nobody, because they are themselves. And that's what the new wrestlers are lacking. If somebody comes in the ring and you can compare them to somebody, they aren't good at what they do. They really aren't, because they're the next Hardy Boys. You shouldn't even think that. That's the problem. They have not got the it. There's some phenomenal guys out there, like Joe says, spot monkeys. I don't know anybody on the current roster, apart from the old school guys like the Cenas and the Randy Ortons, that have actually got it.
Well, this is going to be a discussion that we're going to have Tuesday night about guys that should have it, or, you know, who should be the next 5 guys. But I'd like to get back to tonight's pay-per-view, and let's talk about one of the other matches. I mean, we talked about how Ric Flair was out, but we also had the Charlotte, you know, the Divas match, which we finally have Charlotte now as our new Divas champion. I thought the match itself was pretty decent. I don't know. It could have been better. There was a lot of spots that it seemed that Nikki Bella was controlling the match, taking out her Charlotte's leg, and then all of a sudden she comes out and she gets the win with the figure 8. Now, call me crazy, but it should not have worked out that way.
I want somebody in the wrestling industry to put up some kind of big debate, and I think we should all get together and go and dig up David Flair's body, because I don't think he's dead, because it's Charlotte. Charlotte is David Flair.
Oh, that's a
wrong.
She's a man.
I think the problem we had was while we weren't in the match, we knew the outcome that was coming.
Thanks to Triple H.
Exactly.
You know, and here's the thing again. You know, Rick, I'm gonna bring this up to you, and I'm gonna suggest it for our couple of shows. When wrestling has died down, we should go back and compare the wrestling matches of today or the wrestling pay-per-views today compared to the wrestling pay-per-views of the days gone by. We're looking at, hell, from Clash of Champions to Starrcade to WrestleMania to the more recent ones with In Your House and all those other ones, and compared those wrestlers to today's wrestlers. And you'll see there's a big gap, even from the Attitude Era's pay-per-views compared to today. There is such a big gap that these guys just cannot cut it.
Do you know what the WWE should do, in my honest opinion, on the network? They should have a chart. They should have a score at the bottom of every pay-per-view that's ever been on. And when people actually view, like you get on YouTube, when people view that particular pay-per-view, it has a score on how many people have actually sat and watched it. And I bet you more people watch the old school stuff than the new stuff. And if they had those sort of statistics, maybe it would sink in Triple H's head and Vince's head that no one likes the modern shit that they're producing.
Well, I think some of the matches weren't that bad. I mean, obviously the two main event matches were pretty decent, and whether we like it or not, I have to say I have to give a little bit of kudos to the New Day and 3D match. That was a decent match.
Yeah. And Andy, I got to disagree with you on one thing. You don't think Vince would actually manipulate numbers, do you?
Exactly.
No, I mean, genuine watches that there's nothing he could have any like credence on.
Oh, he'll never allow that.
Absolutely never allow that.
If they had, every time somebody clicked on a particular pay-per-view and watched that pay-per-view, that it gets a count. And I guarantee, and say a year's time, if you look back, it'll all be old school matches that get watched and not new. But how many of us have got a WWE collection of DVDs? And how many of us have watched, on argument's sake, January this year, Royal Rumble? How many people have actually rewatched the Royal Rumble over the last 4 or 5 months? None of us. But we'll all sit there and we'll all reminisce over WrestleMania 2, WrestleMania 3, WrestleMania 4.
I reminisce, but I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think I've watched any past pay-per-views in its entirety. I reminisce, but that's the difference. And I understand where you're coming from, Andy, because, yes, WrestleMania 2, 3, they were some of the classics. But, I have to say, if I can reminisce on some of the more recent ones, WrestleMania 25. That was a great match. WrestleMania 20, another great another great WrestleMania, which I hate to say.
It had its problems.
Which problems would you say that would be?
WrestleMania 20, Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar.
Okay, it wasn't perfect, but then again,
Stone Cold as the referee.
Yeah.
Okay. If I could chime in for a minute, you
Absolutely.
guys are all in the limelight. Let me go back to the Nikki Bella Charlotte match for a second. And I know the HWR fans got to see the meme that I put, and I meant every fucking word of it. I mean, the only reason Nikki Bella got the record is because of John fucking Cena. Fuck the cryptic message that Lance brought to my attention last week. I think it's time that this Divas Revolution actually meant something, not put it on a beautiful face that's on ETV. I mean, come on now. That's like saying throwing Rick into a circus with a pile of lions or something like that. And then Andy mentioned past pay-per-views. Let me guys give you another one. Everybody wanted to know, where did the chorus of boos for Cena start? I'll give you the answer, HWR fans. Let's go to WrestleMania 23, where it was John Cena versus HBK for the WWE title. Given the fact that John Cena never changed his gimmick, till now, what do we see? The same shit. He's Vince's boy. He'll continue being Vince's boy until he leaves the company. Now, as far as this pay-per-view goes, I already posted it on the HWR chat room. I'll give this a 3 out of 5. The kickoff match, I kind of just went to sleep with my head lurched back. And then, Rick, I'm going to agree with you about the tag team match. I think that was the best one by far. And I'm sorry, Ryback fans, but Owens needed this match. He was on a downward spiral since he got called up. One good match, and they shove him down like a pile of old scalloped potatoes. And
You
as
know,
far as the Rollins matches, hold on, Rick. As far as the Rollins matches, I'm with Joe. It was to be expected because there's no all-around Cena or Sting. That's that.
yeah, well, and personally, like I said, I thought it was going to be where he was going to lose both titles or he was going to win both title matches. And, I was kind of more leaning towards winning, defending both titles. But you know what? I was off. I was half wrong. So,
I don't think they're ever going to give Sting any title of any description. They're just going to shit on the guy.
let me say this. I don't think he really cares at this point. I think right now he's just there for a paycheck. And Joe, you could agree with me or disagree with me on that one.
Oh, I could definitely agree with you. We all knew when Sting joined WWE. It was his last hurrah, basically. He's got maybe a year or two left if he does full time, which I doubt. He's probably gonna do like Undertaker's schedule, and he's gonna just milk it for whatever it's worth, and that's it. He's just gonna hey, you know what? Shit on me, shit on me. I don't care. Just give me it right off that huge paycheck, and I'll be happy.
Give me
I
the
think
Hall of Fame, and that's it. I'm done.
Absolutely, and that's it. And Ric Flair will probably put him in the Hall of Fame because that's who he fought against. That's again the pay-per-view was sprinkled with nostalgia. Yeah, the Dudleys put over New Day really well. So that was a good match. The Divas match, I kind of found it odd that Charlotte used a figure four on her injured leg.
Yeah.
And
If I could co-op for a second, Rick, Joe, let's understand something. Nikki Bella was, attacking that leg, but there was one move she could have not done anyway was her natural selection move because she would have to move her leg. Hey, she took it by consequence. Hey, kudos to her, but I would have did some type of schoolboy pinup because she was really legitimately hurt during the match.
If you ask me, I think she was more. It seemed to be more of a work, because if she was truly injured, then Nikki would not have attacked that leg the way she did. That was purely a work. But I want to move on to. We're doing things a little bit backwards here. We're kind of moving around from match to match, but that's how HWR rolls. We don't always do shit in order.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I want to talk about the kickoff match, and the kickoff match, believe it or not, I thought was excellent. Most kickoff matches on pay-per-views usually suck, and there was a lot of great spots here. The Cosmic Wasteland, as they're calling themselves, which is the I keep on calling them LOD crack babies, but the Ascension and Stardust get the win. But of course, Stardust is the one who had to get the win with the Crossroads. He calls it some new match a name now, which I don't know what it is, but to me, it'll always be the Crossroads.
He calls it Dark Matter.
Dark Matter, thank you. But even that, he used to have a different move that he called for Dark Matter. Now that's called Dark Matter, which makes no sense to me. But that's the WWE. Again, but getting back to the actual match, a lot of good spots from both Stardust and, of course, from the Lucha Dragons. Neville, as always, impressive in the ring. Anybody else want to chime in?
You know what? For what it was a colorful match. That's what I could put it. You had the mask, you had the face paints, you had the high flying moves. Cody Rhodes, like I said it before, he finally hit his niche with Stardust, and I hope they keep him going in that direction with it. That I will have to say was one of the best matches. One of the best matches, even though they had the Ascension in there.
And hold on, just yeah. And to be honest with you guys, the one of the match that I thought was pretty decent was, if I can find it now, was the Kevin Owens Ryback match. Now, the only reason why I think it was a decent match is because Kevin Owens got the win. I'm sorry, Ryback just doesn't have what it takes to be a champion. His charisma sucks. Everything about this guy just, I don't know, it's not working for me.
Can I say something, Rick?
Yeah.
That guy is better off as a chaser than as the chasee. And in this case, Ryback lacks the charisma. He lacks the the talking ability, his ring skills are very one-dimensional. You know, he makes the Ultimate Warrior look like Ricky Steamboat. So I think in this case, they needed to move that belt off of him, and thank God they gave it to someone who at least, okay, his talking needs to improve, but at least he can get in there and he can work with anybody, and it's proven. Kevin Owens has worked with everybody.
Yeah. And I think what they really needed to give him a title for him to get to the next level. And, you know, we'd like to welcome back the Bay Area MVP known as Will. Will, what did you think of the IC title match?
I don't want to piss off many Ryback fans on HWR,
We
but
already
I
did.
have to say it's about time. Like I stated earlier, and I
Welcome
was talking
back,
to this
the Bay
with,
Area MVP.
James for the Big
Will,
Easy
what'd you think?
throughout the week, that Kevin Owens has went through a downward spiral ever since he lost the title to Finn Balor. And, you know, we could talk about the great matches they had on NXT with Sami Zayn, but we're not going to put nobody to sleep here. But, you know, his matches when he got called up are no less than mid-card. And that's where he was at. Now, we all can sit here and figure out which title should he go after and blah, 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 blah. But, you know, at the end, and some of you guys would agree with me here, he needed this match. Or else they would have put him back on NXT faster than many would have think. Why did they call him up if he wasn't ready?
Yeah, another match that really, like I said, got under my skin, I think we talked about this a little bit earlier, was the six-man tag match. And I don't know why they had Chris Jericho. We had this big discussion during the show. Some people said that it made sense because Chris Jericho feuded with Bray Wyatt. And again, we talked about the nostalgia thing, but it made no sense. There was no logic behind it. And then, of course, Chris Jericho, the way the match ended was Roman Reigns was on a roll. He was taking down big Braun Strowman. Chris Jericho blind tags himself in, only to get himself pinned. And, of course, this is where, you know, we saw the Ambrose and Reigns kind of confronting Jericho saying, what the hell? And Jericho just, you know, chumps him off by walking off. You would have figured this would have been the point where Reigns and Ambrose would have turned heel and attacked him, but they passed on that. Does anybody agree with me or disagree with me?
You know, I gotta agree. You could tell in Roman Reigns' face, they played it off really well that, hey, why the hell are you tagging in here? You know, and he submitted. He passed out from a bear hug or whatever that maneuver is called. And the guy just, you know, after they, you know, confronted him about it, he shoulder bumped Ambrose, who moved away. What's the significance about this? You know, what's the purpose? There wasn't any. Didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
You know, it just, you know, you're never going to see Jericho again because he's on Tough Enough, you know, and so you basically, you gave these two guys, you had them on a roll, now you stopped them. What's next for them to go? You know, I think the next thing that they're probably going to do with the Shield, because that's what I'm going to still call them, is probably give them a tag title match and probably let them win the tag title again.
But, you know, I think that'd be a mistake. Because if you give them the tag titles, I mean, this is where Roman Reigns should really be chasing for the title. And they're just not giving him that. And it makes no sense to me. The only reason why I'm guessing that they had Jericho leave the way he did is they're saving it for Raw, where Jericho, I'm guessing, might show up on Raw. And then, of course, we're going to see, you know, this kind of develop. If it doesn't develop from there, it made no sense. You know, it just really was a foolish kind of ending, and I was not happy with this match at all. So it's just, I think again that was just more, you know, they're pushing all the older guys, and they shouldn't be doing this. They need to push the new guys.
Well, here's the thing, and Andy and Lance could probably, you know, voice their opinion on it. I think the only reason they add the nostalgia guys, that's what I'm going to call them, the nostalgia guys, is just to make the match a little bit more star worthy. I think that's, even though these guys are well past their time, except for the Dudleys still look good, and even Sting who's 54. You know, he still looks like he can keep going. I think that the problem is they add these star power guys in there for one reason, just to see if the fans get interested, because, you know, these guys got it. They got the charisma. They got the way of talking. They got Sting with his pounding and ow, and Dudley's would get the table. You know, it's regardless of Chris Jericho's how he is. You know, he has that little bit of. He's another one with the little bit of charisma. He could be the good heel. It's just they're trying to fill it. They're trying to put what's lacking in the match with something that's hopefully can help. And
But
sometimes it just doesn't help.
yeah, and I'm sorry, I'm one of those guys who says it doesn't help. And you know, I know that a lot of fans are still chanting, "You still got it." But keep in mind, that's for the higher up of the demographic in the higher age range. That's more for us than for the kids. I'm sorry, half of the WWE, which they're targeting younger kids from, I think it was like between 7 and 12. They don't know who these kids, these guys were. They weren't even around in their heyday, even if they're retired.
But here's the thing, Rick. Who pays for the tickets? That is the parents, and you got to give something for the parents to enjoy. Or they'll just like, okay, kid, here.
Well,
the match is going.
Well. About that, I think I was watching an interview with Michael Cole on not the Sam Roberts radio show with Michael Cole was doing, and the King said something to Michael Cole is, we sell to the kids.
Exactly. And the problem is, and you know what? This nostalgia thing is not working. They need to stop pushing these other guys up the roster. They need to make them the next nostalgia for the next wave of people. Because what's going to happen in 10 years or even 15 years when they're not pushing these guys? Who are these guys going to be? Nobody. And it's slowly degrading their company, and they don't realize that.
Okay.
That is the problem.
The problem also, what we're looking, again, that's all great. Yeah, I'm all for new talent. But the talent's got to take a next step. None of these guys that are in there are grasping the gold ring. They're not doing anything. Put it like this. Let's look at who we can get for the next world champion.
Well, that's gonna be one of our conversations for this Tuesdays. Who do we want to push for the next thing? And I have a few guys that I have listed, and other guys that I think should be pushed, and other guys who I think are not ready to be pushed. And I understand where you're coming from, Joe, but another problem is that the WWE, where they have this opportunity to push somebody, they decide, well, we're not going to push you yet, or we don't want to push you. Because, as you know, Joe, you above anybody knows that it's all about the politics in the back.
Yeah. And one thing about that, it's a little bit hypocritical, because anybody else remember when they were making fun of WCW for not pushing the younger guys? Like, remember the
Exactly.
Nacho Man, Joke Hogan, Ric Flair being drunk, which he still is, but and all that stuff. A little bit hip pot in the kettle, don't you think?
Yeah, exactly. And that's all they're doing. They're basically doing everything that they would laugh at WCW for. You know, they were saying, would the old guys play? Well, that's where WWE is now, is where all the old guys are controlling the show, or running the show. I want to talk about the last match, or what I thought was probably one of the worst matches, and that was Rusev versus Ziggler. And, you know, it's just, I understand why it had to end the way it ended, but I'm just glad it's over, because these guys fought so many goddamn times, I didn't even pay attention to the match. You know, I saw her one. I know that Ziggler got the zigzag off of Rusev when Summer Rae got involved, and then he kind of, as he left, he kind of gave her a bit of a kiss on the hand, saying thank you. But it's just, the whole storyline has just gone to shit. So. Well, I think what happened with this Miss Jack Shit just chimed in. It didn't make any sense with Lana not being there, because Lana's injured, and I think what they tried to do was take it in a different direction, and they didn't capitalize on that. That's another problem with the WWE. They're not capitalizing on issues that work, because they just have to continue to run with things. That is the problem with this company. Another major problem.
Yeah, you brought something. You just brought something up that I wanted to. That has been pissing me off. Okay, Lana had her wrist operated on. She's not an active wrestler as of yet. She is a manager. What the hell is keeping her from doing her manager thing? Yeah, she might have to smack the mat with her other hand, but she can still be out there doing her damn job.
I see where you're going with that, but I think because she's injured and because for the longest time that Summer Rae and Lana, they were pushing, or at least it looked like they were heading towards a mixed tag match, but I think when she got injured, you can't have that heat right next to each other. If they didn't have heat, I would agree with you. And I think the problem, which is another issue, is there are not enough managers. There's only 2 managers. One was Lana, and the other one, of course, is Paul Heyman, but Paul Heyman only represents one guy.
Yeah.
So, and you can only, listen to Paul Heyman push the same guy over and over again so many times before he sounds like a fucking broken record.
And that's when we hope that Ronda Rousey joins, so Paul Heyman can manage her.
And there is talks about her possibly joining, or at least doing a match at WrestleMania. And to me, I'm not sure whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, I know the WWE thinks she would be great for the company, but keep in mind, right now she is a wrestler. She's a MMA fighter who is undefeated as we speak. So what happens when she comes in the WWE? If she does, you think WWE is going to keep her at that level? No, and it's going to kill the realism.
The biggest problem is, and it was mentioned, I know people don't like the guy, it was mentioned by Vince Russo on one of his shows, Triple H doesn't like anyone to be in the arena who's better than him. And that's why the stars, they get pushed, the fans get behind him, and he pulls the rug from under him, because they're getting bigger than he was, and he don't like it.
No, I disagree.
So the only reason why Triple H got mentioned, and I agree fully with Vince Russo, is because of China. If China hadn't made him change his way from that gay Hunter Hearst Helmsley, he'd have been nowhere in the company. Nowhere.
No,
that gimmick sucked.
No, let me disagree with you. Hold on.
I don't think it was her. I think it was Shawn Michaels mostly.
If they hadn't pushed him into the tough role that he's got now, that guy sucked.
Let me tell you,
only gimmick sucked.
Yes, it did.
Nothing. He's supposed to have been like an English country gent, but he was fucking American.
Andy, well, let me make a point here, Andy. Okay, you say that he would have gone nowhere, right?
Yeah.
Now, I disagree with you, and I'll tell you why. For one reason, and one reason only. Stephanie McMahon.
He probably met Stephanie in the way that he met her.
No,
It's only the top guys. If you listen to, like, wrestlers, it's only the top guys that get the opportunity to brown nose with Vince. If you're an undercard wrestler, you have to go through 5 or 6 people before you even get to see Vince. If you're one of the top guys, you get access to Vince's office, and then my door is always open for you. He was an undercarder at best, and you don't think somebody like Kofi Kingston could walk up to Vince's door and knock on his door and say, Vince, I don't like this gimmick I'm doing at the moment. Just doesn't happen. He wouldn't have been in that situation without the likes of Shawn Michaels.
I agree with you.
I dare bet Stephanie McMahon does not go in the locker room before she knew Triple H and talk to the wrestlers, because her father was so adamant that she's not going to knob a wrestler.
And you know what? Again, this is where I have to disagree with you, because who people are behind the curtain is not the same person you'll meet in front of the curtain. And again, Joe probably would have to agree with me on that. That's a character. Maybe the character to you and I, and maybe the rest of the fans, saw it, oh, Triple H sucks. But when he meets him behind there, same thing with Stephanie McMahon. Stephanie McMahon is like playing like a really nasty heel, but from what a lot of reports say, that really behind the scenes, she's a very well, mannered person. She's very soft spoken.
Unless, I know Lance listens to a lot of shoot interviews, unless wrestlers are 100% liars, Triple H is a proper scumbag inside and outside the ring. He would shit in his own grandma's handbag if he knew he could get away. That guy has got no respect off anybody in the wrestling industry.
That's HBK. I thought that was HBK.
No, the one that
Triple H is a proper scumbag apparently, and always has been.
No, the one that likes shitting in bags is X-Pac.
Yeah.
Well,
Triple
guys,
H
you know what?
is not liked by anybody at
Yeah.
all. Check out the shoot video. Anybody. The moment they talk about Hunter or Triple H, you might as well get into a racism argument because it turns nasty.
No. Well, guys, you know what? I think we are going to wrap it up here. And keep in mind, guys, this coming Tuesday, we're going to have a live show. We're going to talk about some of the top wrestlers. But that is, of course, before tomorrow night. We will all have our live Raw reaction right here on youtube.com/HWR show on our live stream. So, guys, if you want to come on in, give us your thoughts, please come on in. And also, put your comments in the comments section below. Make sure you follow us over at Facebook.com/Hardcore Wrestling Radio. And we also do have a chat room under the name HWR Chat Room. Not too hard to forget. We have my sidekick. He is my partner. He is the son of a bitch, Andy. Andy, what do you got going on? Where can everybody find you?
Yeah, I've got an investigation coming up this coming Saturday, which I'll reveal on my page over the next couple of days. So don't forget to give me a check out on www.stokehaunted.com. And those of you that have liked and subscribed to my page, thank you very much.
And then we have the incomparable Lance Moss, and he's over at youtube.com/Lance Moss TV. Lance, what do you got going on?
I got album reviews, NASCAR discussion videos, redneck normal cooking videos, musical equipment reviews, some rants. Every Wednesday, I go live with Lance Moss TV and friends. I don't know who all comes on every week. It's just one of them spur of the moment type deals. Hit me on Twitter. It's at Lance Moss TV.
All right. And then, of course, we have the Bay Area MVP, known as Will. Will is over on SoundCloud where he does the weekly In the News. Will, what do you got coming up this week?
What I got coming up this week is I'm gonna recover from this shitty ass pay-per-view. That's what I'm gonna do. But this Wednesday, I'm gonna have some interesting news to talk about. So stay tuned Wednesday. Hopefully, I can get some of the crew in here. And Jay's wanted me to say also to the fellow HWR crew that the pay-per-view was not what I wanted, but yes, oh Lord, Charlotte finally got the belt. Oh, now it's going to be a lot easier.
No.
That's from James for the Big Easy, folks. But I'm at SoundCloud.com, and go over there and listen to all my previous shows.
All right. And we would love to thank David H. for coming in the room, and he said that would be right. And again, this is where we want to have the conversation. If you want to give us your thoughts, you got to come in and be a part of the show. So, but the comments as well is also always liked and appreciated. And any comments you put down, we will announce them and give you a shout out on the following show. But last but not least, of course, we have the classic wrestling manager, Joseph Knight. Joe, where can everyone find you?
Well, you can find me on Facebook at facebook.com, Joseph Knight Manager. You can follow me on Twitter at JKnightCWA. We're going to be looking to get this Real World show, Real World Rants, up and running. So tune in and we'll see what comes up.
You know what? I think we're going to be doing that sometime this week. So again, we will make that announcement over on the Facebook page. The Real World Rants is a non-wrestling show where we kind of talk about politics, celebrities, and anything else that's just going on in this whole crazy place we called Earth. So until the next time, I am your hardcore host, Rick Head, saying we'll see you when we see you.